you are doing all the things, you're doing everything right, and you're still not experiencing the magic and the magnetism and all of the things that people say are so easy if you just say your affirmations or make your vision board or think happy thoughts. This video is for you. Hi, I'm Astrid, and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, make sure you say hello. If you are an OG, also say hello. So I am trying to record this video with my daughter sitting right here, who's 8, and she's being cray cray. So if I pause the video, that would be why. So anyways, this channel is all about creating a life of thriving that feels as rich and fulfilling on the inside as it looks on the outside. It's about practically healing and alchemizing the witch wound within to unleash that wild woman inside who creates a life and a business of magic, of pleasure, of play, right? Because you motherfucking can, right? So today we are going to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, which is all about stepping into the energy of the queen, the sovereign, who has so much power to literally command reality to move when it moves, who has so much confidence and magnetism and is able to take charge and fully honor her ambition because she knows that she is moving the pieces into place that need to be moved. She is ordering it, and she doesn't question whether or not her decree will be met. It just is, and rightfully so, right? As it should be. So many of us want that power, right? We want that confidence. We want that ability to be in control of ourselves and our lives. But often what happens is we fall into one of these 5 pitfalls, these 5 mistakes that we don't even realize until it is that time where you're looking around going like, what am I missing? Because this isn't working for me, right? This isn't working for me. So if you think you're doing everything right, but you're still not fully embracing that iconic queen within, then you might be making one or all 5 or 2 or 3, whatever, of these mistakes. And number 1 is all about ignoring your intuition, which is the guiding force, the inner voice that guides you towards everything that you actually desire. Ooh, I'm trying not to make this too long because I will do that, but there is also something to take into consideration here too, and maybe we'll talk about this in the future. But what I was saying is your intuition will guide you towards all of your desires, and you're not really going towards them. You're really calling them in, and you're coming from a certain place that makes you magnetic to your desires. You're not really going to the thing. But about your desire, you can have shadow desires. You can have desires for things that you don't actually desire, or things that will keep you stuck in struggle. And a lot of times we all will manifest our same story over and over and over again because it's safe, it's known, it's comfortable. But your intuition is always guiding you to your actual true desires, to your true will. And often it knows what we want better than we do, right? And so when we ignore it because we think, oh, that can't be my intuition, or I don't know the difference between ego and intuition, so I'm just not going to listen, or that doesn't really make any sense to what I desire, so it must not be important, so I'm just not going to do it, or that thing's too big, too scary, whatever the case may be, right? So this is one of the big keys to unleashing your true iconic queen inside. And the best way to unleash that queen is to follow your intuition. It's like a system that feeds off of itself, right? When you want to trust your intuition, you trust your intuition. It's like a muscle, right? You just have to continuously trust it and not question, does this make sense? Does it, like, do I see how it's going to move the needle for me? It's like, it doesn't matter. None of that matters, right? So if you're asking for something, this is another way that you can increase your intuition and increase your trust for your intuition so that you can actually embody and stand in that iconic queen energy, is to ask for something. ask for a certain desire, a whole like school of geese. I know that that's not what they're called, just like flew across the sky. But yeah, ask for something in particular and listen to every single thing that your intuition tells you to do, regardless if it makes sense or not. Because what this is going to do is it's going to reclaim a bunch of power that you have locked up in like shadow shit. And your intuition is always going to give you like the fastest path to get to the situation or outcome that you are requesting or requiring. It's not always the easiest. It's not always the least amount of fear involved, but it is the fastest. And so practice listening to that, practice just taking the scary action regardless, and start just paying attention, because that voice is your most powerful guide. It's like a compass that is pointing you towards your true north. Zoe, will you please stop kicking the table? Thank you. I know you're not. Okay, so number 2, we have neglecting self-care. So in our world, obviously, we glorify like the fast-paced hustle of life, productivity, and like, oh my God, especially if you think like, I don't have time for self-care or meditation or inner work or any of those things, that is when you need to make time, because making time creates more time. And all of these energetics are kind of hilarious and paradoxical, because the only way to have these things is to have them. Like, to have more time is to have more time, like make more time. To have more inner guidance is to listen to your inner guidance, right? And so it's always like, it's so freaking obvious, but it's like the place that we would least think to look. So just know that self-care is not selfish, and it's essential. It is a non-negotiable. So it's like water to a flower. If the flower doesn't get the water, it wilts up and dies. Same thing happens to your spirit, right? And to the queen energy that you are trying to cultivate in your life. So prioritize this by scheduling in regular me time and setting boundaries around it. This is what it will be, especially if you have a big family. You might need to talk to your family and be like, listen, guys, this is my 20 minutes that I need uninterrupted, right? My family knows when I go in my office and I shut the door, that's my time. Don't come in there, right? So whatever it is for you, think about some of the things that you really like to do, whether it is taking a nice hot bath or meditating or some kind of creative hobby that gets you out of your logical mind and just into the flow, right? And taking care of yourself. It could even be 10 minutes of journaling, right? So what are those things that you like to do? And understand, again, you will be so tempted, because a lot of these things are things that you probably already know, but sometimes when you hear them again from a certain person or for the 20th time, it clicks and you're like, oh, that makes so much sense. Let this be one of those moments, right? If you're running around all day, keeping up the illusion of there's not enough time, there's not enough time, there's not enough time, and you don't stop to make the time, then you're keeping that illusion alive. That is why the things that you are manifesting in life are the same things that you had yesterday, right? And so it's insane to think that if I don't change something today, then I'm going to wake up at some point in time and everything's going to be different. When? Like, how? It just doesn't work like that, right? So if instead you're going, I make time, you literally listen to what I'm saying. I make time. I am the creator of time. I'm literally creating time by doing this. So not only are you giving yourself time to do something, you are creating time. Okay, so just really lock this in. We make time for things that are important to us. And so it's really important that you make being the creator of your experience more important than keeping the struggle story alive. Okay. So number 3 is downplaying your worth. I have so much to say about worthiness. One is Fuck Your Worthiness, which is also a journal. If you want to grab it, it's $7. And it is the most fucking epic thing on the planet. People have told me that it should be 10K, like it should cost $10,000. And this is a person who's been in high level programs and stuff. And I'm literally charging $7 for it. And it comes with a course, and it will rock your world, and it will shape you into the most badass epic expression of who you actually are. But downplaying your worth, and I'll put that link in the description or pinned comments or whatever. But we are literally conditioned to feel like worthless pieces of garbage from an early age, right? This shows up in things like struggling with imposter syndrome and feelings of inadequacy, right? You'll be like going, you got all this motivation, and then bam, like brick wall, imposter syndrome sets in, right? And I want you to remember, like, you are worthy of what you decide to be worthy of. No one can give that to you. Nobody can just say, here's your crown of worthiness. Like, no, that is an inside job. It has to come from you. And it can only come from you choosing it in the morning. I mean, why did I even say the morning? Because I'm looking outside and it's the morning right now. Choosing it all day, every day, in the moment. I think that's what I was going to say. There must be some kind of a flip there meant to be there. You can choose it in the morning too. Set your day off right. Why not? Which, I mean, that is important too. So if you got 10 minutes to journal in the mornings, do that. Choose it. I deserve what I choose to deserve. And here's another thing. I don't think that we actually are deserving of just everything just because, right? It is a person who sits on their couch with their hand in their pants, eating potato chips and playing donkey cart, whatever, deserving of $1 million business just because, like, they were born inherently worthy of abundance? I don't think so, right? That person is choosing to be deserving of the life that they're living. And even if they did have like $1 million business fall into their lap, they would squander it away. We create the reality we think we deserve to have. And so if we are downplaying our worth, we're going to keep on calling in relationships and client relationships and situations and circumstances that reconfirm what we believe that we are deserving of. And so it's really important for you to make that shift for yourself. This used to happen with me, with clients all the time. Like whenever I first started coaching, I wasn't confident in myself. I knew that I liked helping people, but whenever I started charging for it, it was kind of a different story. All kinds of imposter syndrome started setting in, and I would attract people who didn't do the work. And that's because they didn't value the work, because I didn't value the work. And so I was calling them in to keep my story alive. And whenever I started seeing how fucking kick-ass my work is, and I started speaking to a specific person and calling in like high achievers who were actually going to do the work, they started getting kick-ass results with it. And I was barely having to do anything, where before, for this group of people, I was working so hard to try and keep them going and trying to help them get a result. And it just never worked like that. So that's another story about like just upgrading, being able to see how badass your stuff actually is and how badass you actually are. So I'm going to give you sort of like a metaphor for whenever we are dimming our lights, when we are discounting our value in life. You can imagine like how much freaking energy would it take to get the sun to not shine, right? I don't even know if it's possible, but if we think about what would it actually take to get the sun to not shine, it would take unreasonable amounts of energy. And so I think of it like that. Like when we are downplaying our worth, we are asking our suns inside of us to not shine. And we are spending so much energy just keeping that thing in. Like you're just keeping it in, right? Keeping it in. And so what I want you to do is just kind of like bring your attention down into your stomach and like see that sun. And even if it's like dark right now and it kind of looks more like a moon. This is like just a rock or whatever, or just a sphere. And start take the pressure off of it, take that resistance off of it, take that like cover off of it, and allow it to just explode and be what it wants to be. And do this as much as you need to, so that you can remember, like, yo, I'm putting so much energy into like making myself small for no reason, when really I am practically a celestial body. Right? So that is the next, that is number 3. Again, go grab the Fuck Your Worthiness journal. It's guided journaling, practical application. It's 31 days, has a 7-day course with it, but not just at 7 days. Wait, is that the one? It has a course with it. And a Facebook group. So that's Spellbound Success Society on Facebook. You can go opt into that, but get the freaking workbook. It's only $7 and it will change your life. So the fourth mistake that we make is not setting clear boundaries, right? When we're not setting boundaries, we feel overwhelmed. Again, we feel drained because we're giving too much of ourselves. And most of the time, we're giving parts of ourselves to things and people that we don't want to give, and to people and things that we don't want to give also, right? And when I also have a video of this, I'll put it in the cards. It's like an hour long though. It's like an hour and 18 minutes long, I think, but it's all about boundaries. I did like 2 weeks ago. But most of the time when we're doing that, we're giving those parts of ourselves away that we don't actually want to people and things that we could give 2 fucks less about, right? But it's because that people pleaser shadow is so fucking alive inside. You would rather sell yourself out than to displease somebody, right? And don't think for a second that that's not what you're doing, okay? It needs to be harsh. It needs to be like, this is what you're doing, so you can stop doing it. Like, stop making it this small thing that you're selling your fucking self out. Like, stop making it okay. Like, stop fucking tolerating this behavior from yourself. You are selling yourself out. And it might not be the easiest thing in the world to upgrade your boundaries, but it will make your life infinitely easier. And so it's like, sacrifice a little bit of discomfort for a lot of pleasure, or sacrifice a lot of pleasure over the span of your life for unsatisfactory comfort that you know right now, and just always be wanting and longing for more, right? So this boundaries is really like setting the foundation for this sovereign to even be able to rule in your life. You can also think of this as like the Hoover Dam, right? The Hoover Dam, it creates so much energy and it powers so many places. And I don't know the statistics of what it actually powers, but I think it might power all of Las Vegas. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but it generates a lot of energy. And that would not be the case if it didn't have that huge fucking wall, right? That boundary that's keeping this water back. And that's what your boundaries do for your queen, is that it creates all of this energy that you can then use to power different things in your life. Okay, so think of your boundaries like that. And a quick way to start doing this is to just like look around in your life. Where do you need to put up some walls, put up some boundaries, and not being like super freaking rigid about it? But when do you need to say no? Like, where do you need to like start respecting yourself some more? Does it need to start with even finding out how you do respect yourself, right? So take a look at all of those things. You can go watch the other video if you want to. And let's keep moving on. Number 5. This one is the most important. And it's also probably my favorite. And this is about avoiding the shadow. when you are avoiding the shadow, those parts of yourselves that you don't want to acknowledge, right? You are robbing yourself of so much power, so much magnetism, so much pleasure, play, magic, and thriving, for sure. Anybody who thinks that like you can actually have a full life without doing shadow work doesn't know what full is. Like they don't know what it is. And I don't, none of us know until we actually take a step into the dark and be able to see like, holy shit, there is stuff here that the light could never, right? Never, ever, ever. And that is, I think, the most critical part of this whole process, is accepting all the facets of your identity, your light, your dark, not just like your dark side. That's part of it, but it's not just that, right? It's also the parts of you that like you don't know why you freeze up when you get on a live stream. So you want to go live for your business, but you can't because something like your nervous system just won't let you. And you don't realize that it's because when you were 4, you were singing at the top of your lungs and your dad told you to shut up. And so ever since then, you learned that like, hey, my voice is not valued, so I'm just going to shut up. And so that has been like your story, your whole life. But the shadow is things that you don't know that you don't know. So if that memory was repressed, it could very easily be the thing that's continuing to make decisions for you. And it could be the cause for why you're not able to be as magnetic as you could be, because you're not able to call your people in, because you're not able to use your voice, which has like codes and activations in it so that people are awakened, right? You're casting spells on your people to awaken, and you can't do that because your shadow is unconscious. Your unconscious is projecting this reality, and you don't really, your conscious mind doesn't really have much of a say. You can tell it that it's safe to talk all day, but unless you realize like, hey, I feel like it's unsafe to talk, you don't even have to know that that thing happened at 4, but it's like, if you just know that it's a part of your shadow, that like, hey, I'm really in resistance to this thing, I'm really rejecting this part of myself, neglecting this part of myself, and you know what? I am going to expose it, right? On my first video, my first live stream, that's what I did. I came on, I was like, I am so scared to go live. Like, I am so freaking scared to go live. And I didn't know what to do. So I'm just here and I'm just telling you this is what is happening. And that set me up to be in a level of truth for my entire career and authenticity, because I always felt safe to be myself and to go live and just press the fucking button and get my message out to the world. So I think that when we are feeling those things that we would rather push down, we need to expose them. And this is kind of going off on a tangent, but your gifts are like in the last place that we would want to look, right? After I went live and just exposed that, I became obsessed with live streaming. Like, I used to live stream all the freaking time, but I wouldn't have found like my love for making videos or even for coaching if I hadn't exposed that fear or that shadow that says like, hey, yeah, you think you're a piece of garbage, no problem. Like, or my identity would be wrapped up in like my intellect and I don't look stupid, or, you know, anything like that. Just like, just expose it, right? So what you can do to, well, if you allow yourself to like continue to suppress your shadows and you don't address that, then it lets those unresolved emotional issues and past traumas continue to make decisions for you in your life, or at least influence your decisions. And it keeps you sabotaging everything. and feeling disconnected from your authentic desires. How many times have you said like, well, I don't know what I want, right? That is shadow. That is not the queen energy that you are trying to conjure and cultivate in your life, right? So the shift here is that we want to, of course, embrace the hidden, neglected, rejected aspects of yourself with total compassion and curiosity. And I often tell my members and my clients that like, it's your job to love the unlovable. That is your job. And so you can start here by simply just journaling about your fears and your insecurities. And, you know, if you're through certain traumas where it's not going to like just trigger some crazy swing, then you can journal about that too. And just explore how these things have shaped you into the person you are today, and look at it through a different lens rather than fear. Look at it with compassion and curiosity and non-judgment. I also have a shadow working video where to start with shadow work somewhere on this channel from years ago. I also have a workbook for that as well, which is called Divinely Fierce, a 28-day shadow working journey. I will also link that in the comments. I think that's also $7. I think. I don't usually sell it, but I do have it for sale somewhere. So I'll link that too if that's something that you're interested in. That is a whole ass course, and it's amazing. It's just like kind of blowing my mind right now, like being able to go, hey, I have this resource, and hey, I have this resource, and I have this video, and I have this workbook, and like it just makes me so fucking proud to know that like through these years working through this stuff has really helped me to create a body of work that not just has empowered me, but also gets to empower others or to help other people find their own power, right? And it's just taking a little moment here, right? So yeah, the point is, whenever you integrate your shadow, you get to experience a new sense of self-belief, strength, courage, all of the powers in you that right now kind of scare you. Maybe it's seduction, maybe it's intimacy, maybe it is being in your feminine, maybe it's whatever. Like right now, you should see the way I'm standing. Whenever I said being in your feminine, I'm like, look at how in your feminine you are and in your masculine. Because I'm like standing up, talking, running all this energy, but at the same time, just kind of like leaning back. I have one of my legs up in the chair, kind of folded like this, just chilling. Like, what a beautiful example of being in your masculine and your feminine at the same time. That couldn't happen if I used to be like so freaking anti funnels and stuff like that. Well, whenever I first started in 2016, doing like high ticket affiliate marketing and stuff, of course I was into funnels then, but for coaching business, I just felt like it was too cookie cutter. I didn't think that funnels had any place in the world of transformation, things like that. But then I found a coach that when I started reading her emails, I was like, man, I want to make people feel the way that she makes me feel. And so I signed up for her program, and I realized through just like the work that I was just doing on myself through that time, that the reason why I didn't like setting up systems and structures, or why in the past when I would get started doing them, and whenever I'd start setting some system up for myself to make my business run more smoothly, I would hit a brick wall and I would get frustrated at some point whenever I couldn't figure something out. What I realized was I actually just had an extreme distrust for the masculine. And once I shifted that, I make so much tech stuff now. Like I cannot imagine my business without systems and automation and structure in place to be able to actually guide people through a journey and experience and be able to create the level of impact that I actually want to have, right? So there's so much, there's so much in the shadow. Again, it's the things that you don't know that you don't know that you don't know. And as much as a lot of that is hidden, neglected, rejected aspects of yourself, it's true about the gifts too, right? If you don't know what you don't know in the dark, you don't know what gifts that contains either. So we're pretty much blind to the actual freaking magic that we host until we get into this. And that's why you're here, right? You aren't even aware of how much fucking magic that you are, but you can feel it knocking on, tapping on the door of your soul, like forever, right? Calling you forward. And that's why you're here. That's why you care about any of this. That moment, like that moment whenever you realize, like, fuck, there might actually be more that I can, there might be a solution. There might be something more for me. And you start to follow that thread. It's just so amazing, because I want you to remember that, like, each and every moment is offering you the opportunity to experience more and more magic each moment. And each moment is presenting you the opportunity to come face to face with your most brilliant expression, always, with your genius, with your higher self, like your own divinity, right? Every single moment. And that's what it's really about. That's a lot of reason why people can't hear their intuition or trust it either, is because it's just so freaking loud in their mind. Being able to step back and slow down and just become a channel for what really wants to come through, what your fuck yes spirit actually wants to channel through you. You could be a channel for magic, or you can be a channel for struggle. And I will choose magic every single time. And I think you will too. And that's why you're here. That's why you're here. It's why you keep on searching and you continue to pull on that thread. So congratulate yourself, because as much as it may or may not feel like it, you are on such an honorable journey, regardless of what it looks like or feels like right now in your life. It might be a shitstorm, or it might be amazing. It doesn't matter what it looks like. You realize right now that you are on the most honorable journey that a soul can take. And I think that that's worth celebrating. So yeah, that's it. That's it. I say that's it. This is probably really long. I swear I'm going to be able to make an 8-minute video one day. One day I'm going to be able to make an 8 or 10-minute video. But yep, those are my 5 most common pitfalls and mistakes that keep us from fully stepping into that iconic queen energy. And the really good news is that by noticing and addressing these patterns, then you can start to unlock the queen within, and unlock and untap your true power, so that you can experience your magnetism amplifying, because you have to notice it, you have to recognize it to be able to do anything with it. Acceptance is the first key. Is like, oh, I see that thing, it's distorted. I can accept that that thing is distorted. Now, what do I want to do with that? From curiosity and compassion, not, ooh, that's distorted. Fuck, what am I going to do? Right? Totally different energy. So yeah, always remember, you are divinely guided. You are divinely loved. And also, you are the divine that's guiding and doing the loving. Remember that for yourself. And if you found this video helpful, make sure that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more empowering content, and connect with me in the comments below. Let me know which one of these out of the 5 rocked your world the most? Which one do you think is like keeping you stuck on what I call the almost there carousel, where it's like you always get really close, but it never just like breaks through, right? Which one of these rocked your world the most? And what is the commitment that you're making for yourself right now that you're aware of these things? Also, let me know what are some things that you would like for me to talk about on this channel, because I want to do more stuff like this. Again, I'm going to be practicing making 8-minute videos. So maybe in the future, instead of doing 5 mistakes or 7 different things to do with boundaries, I'll just do 1 and I'll break it down by itself, because this could probably be, and I probably could go and break this down into each one and post it as its own video, but this is what we have for today. But I do want to make more videos like this. So if there's anything having to do with life or business and fucking thriving inside and out, then let me know what that looks like for you. What would you like to hear me talk about? What do you feel like really just needs to shift for you? And I'll be more than happy to make a video about it. So the last announcement, if you're seeing this before July 24th, 2023, then we are going on a little quest. Oh my God, I'm so excited. This is happening inside of the Spellbound Success Society. It is called the ICONS Odyssey. It is a 3-day free live event that I'm hosting in my new Facebook group. Again, Spellbound Success Society. You can look it up on Facebook. And if you want to learn more about the event itself and see what like the Odyssey looks like, you can go to astrodko.com/icon and just read a little bit more about it. Get registered. That's where I'm going to be sending your workbooks and just different maps and like quest maps and things that I'll be giving during the event. So make sure that you go and get in on that if that's something that's interesting to you. And yeah, I think that that's it. Remember, you are born to be a powerful queen over yourself and your world. And queens keep their promises to themselves. The world is ready to see you shine. Stop like smothering your sun and keep on ruling your realm and stepping into your greatness. I will see you next time.